Happy New Year's Eve, hockey fans. The calendar year 2024 is coming to a close, and for some NHL teams, that is music to their ears. Cough, cough, New York Rangers. As we turn the page to 2025, who are the teams who are at the top of the NHL? Which teams are struggling and which ones are just kind of in the middle? And we'll start at the very bottom, as we always do, with the four teams who are in perpetual darkness. That's right, one team has managed to ascend and see the light, but the Ducks, Blue Jackets, Sharks, and Blackhawks are all in the darkness. Their New Year's resolutions are going to be find competence, find talent, find Jesus, I don't know, but these four teams enter the new year hoping that 2025 will be at least tolerable to them. But barely one step above them are the Nashville Predators, who, as always, are a pathetic team. And I should clarify, the reason they're not in perpetual darkness is because, unlike those four teams at the bottom, the Nashville Predators actually have some very good players. They are just not a very good team, and they are deserving of being shouted out every single week for the massive failure that the 2024-25 season has been. One tier above them, we have the teams who are just plain bad, featuring the Detroit Red Wings, the now able to win Buffalo Sabres, Philadelphia Flyers, and the big Montreal Canadiens. That's right, they have crawled their way out of the darkness and are now just plain bad. Santa must have brought them some talent for Christmas, because they actually managed to win two very tough games against Florida and Tampa Bay, both in the state of Florida. And don't look now, but Montreal is flirting with the 500 mark. They keep this up, and dare I say it, the Montreal Canadiens could actually be a winning team for once in Marty St. Louis' coaching career. But moving up above them, I have the Calgary Flames, also in their own tier like the Nashville Predators. They're the flamin' hot Cheetos. They're a lot of fun, but ultimately, this team is a bunch of empty calories, in my opinion, as evidenced by this last week, where they beat the San Jose Sharks 3-1 and then got dusted by the Vegas Golden Knights. Calgary's a good story. They've got some fun young prospects, and Dustin Wolf is looking really good, but I still maintain that this team is due for a downfall in 2025. One tier above them, we got the Rage Against the Machine New York Rangers, who continue to be absolutely pitiful. In the post-Christmas window, they had to face Tampa and Florida in the Sunshine State, just like the Montreal Canadiens, but in some sort of a Freaky Friday situation, they were the ones who lost both games, and they are the ones falling further and further away from the 500 mark. Peter Laviolette and Chris Drury are somehow still employed. The fans want Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider tarred and feathered, and I must say, as a fan of a division rival, it has truly been the greatest Christmas present that I ever could have received. Thank you very much, Rangers. Now, I'm actually going to cover the next two tiers together because they're basically the same. We have the mid tier and the mid and boring tier. The difference being, in the mid tier, we have teams like the Canucks, Utah Hockey Club, and Pittsburgh Penguins, who are actually kind of fun and frisky to watch, while in the mid and boring tier, we've got the Kraken, the Islanders, and the Blues, teams that could be a replacement for Ambien other than for their own fans who probably just want to bore their own eyes out. Now, Utah had a bad week post-Christmas. They lost to a fellow mid-team in Seattle 5-2, and they lost to Colorado 4-1. And I know Connor Ingram hasn't been great for you this year, Utah, but could you maybe try going with somebody who isn't Krejmilka on net, please? Now, moving up to the next tier, my beautiful babies, the Ottawa Senators, who continue to do good for me, beating the Minnesota Wild last week, but losing to the Winnipeg Jets. Not a shabby week. The tier is called Please, 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 because I am just begging you don't embarrass me, motherfuckers. Now, jumping up to the next tier, we have a pretty loaded contenders tier featuring the Boston Bruins, LA Kings, Minnesota Wild, Carolina Hurricanes, Toronto Maple Leafs, Colorado Avalanche, and Washington Capitals. I think all of these teams are good, but they have some major flaws. Even though some of the teams like the Caps, Kings, and Wild are among the top point getters, I still don't think that they are among the elite in the NHL. I will say that the Kings had a good week. They won both their games, which included a win in overtime over Edmonton. They continue to have a very strong year, but my concern with them is still that their goaltending is basically a house of cards that's ready to collapse at any moment. Then we move up to my most talented tier. Once again, these are teams that are not at the top of the standings, but that I think are the most talented teams outside of the elite tier. That includes the Lightning, Stars, and the Edmonton Oilers, who had the worst week of anybody because they lost to the goddamn Anaheim Ducks. That's really all it takes when everybody's on a short week. And then that just leaves four teams in my elite tier: the Panthers, Jets, Devils, and the new number one team, the Vegas Golden Knights. The Winnipeg Jets had one of the better weeks of anybody, in my opinion, by beating my babies, the Ottawa Senators, and the Nashville Predators very handedly. Connor Hellebuyck took another shutout last night against Nashville, and right now he is the clear runaway favorite for the Vezina Trophy. So there you have it. Those those are the power rankings for this week. We will see how these teams do in 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. And for those of you who are fans of the teams in the bottom tiers, Godspeed.